Hi friends, my name is Maizie, and this is the very beginning of my Maizie in College series where I take you along as I navigate moving away from home and out to university all on my own and starting college one slightly chaotic, stressful step at a time. So I wanted to make something that kind of shows the true stressful nitty-gritty behind this move, not just the aesthetic like dorm tours and Target hauls and so on. I wanted to show the real stuff behind it too. The stressful, the nitty-gritty, the technical terms, everything. In today's episode, I'm going back to where this all started before the move, all the preparation before the move. So planning on trying to find an apartment, registering for classes, meeting with advisors, and getting a job, all of the nitty-gritty stuff that you need to know before you move. For those of you who are coming along on this journey soon too. I even made some checklists and charts because I'm very type A like that I feel could really help you guys. If you're getting into college soon or just need a good organizational moment, I think this video is for you. So first things first is classes. If you're about to register and you need some tips and tricks on figuring out the right schedule, figuring out what classes you need and so on, this is the place to start. Okay, registration. First major tip, meet with your advisors. I have spent so much time in advising meetings over the past couple of years, just trying to make sure I have all the classes I need to take, and I'm very ahead of the curve with what I'm doing in my path. I want you to have an idea of what classes you need to take already. Go over the requirements. Again, that's going to be on your university's website under your major, and it'll show you all the classes that you normally have to take. I want you to go over those requirements and already be prepared with a decent game plan of okay, I've gone over this. Tell me what you think I need to take for this first semester. Stuff like that. Be prepared. Be ready to ask questions. I'm going to be so honest. Sometimes these advisors will push you through really quick, but the first thing you want to do is be prepared, show that you're knowledgeable, and have questions ready to ask so that they know you're willing to put in the energy, and then they're going to put in a lot more time and energy for you. I've made very good friends with a couple of the advisors at my colleges over the years, and it's been very nice to actually feel like you have a decent connection with them and them know that you're prepared and that you're willing to put in the work, and then they do more for you as well. Secondly, I want you to plan out your class schedule. My schedules have always been, I know what classes after that advising meeting, I know what classes I need to take, and maybe I have one or two where it's if this one doesn't work out, then this one instead. Know what your class schedule is, and then peruse the class, the class options and the class library on your university's website prior to registration. Be looking at those classes, know the course numbers and the times if they even have them there already. Write it all out. And then I'm going to show you the document that I use to organize it. The document I use to organize it has multiple columns in each section. I have a segment for each class that I'm supposed to take, and then in that segment, there are all the potential class openings and their dates, their times, all of the information there, along with the Rate My Professor rating and their location on campus and so on. And it looks a little something like this. Is a good little view of what I like to do for my classes. So first I have each segment where it's the class that I know I need to take, the other class that I need to take, and going forward, this class that I need to take, these two, which I didn't know exactly which one I would be able to take, and then which one I would take here. And in each segment, I have the course registration number. I have the campus or the location. So it's either the Rockland campus, this is for my old college, or asynchronous, which is online. I have which days it's supposed to be on. I have the times that the classes run from, and then I have the professor names and the Rate My Professor ratings. So with Rate My Professor, I highly suggest that you choose to do a Rate My Professor scan for all of your classes, because there are certain ones where I had a terrible professor and I really should have checked, and I checked afterwards and I was okay, I really should have chosen the other class. Then I also have duration. This is where I just made a note if it was a short-term class, an 8-week or full 16-week class. Then I wrote out my final schedule out here, and this is from 2 semesters ago, so I don't really care if you see the information. And then I also have notes of the asynchronous classes I'm taking. I highlighted the classes in green that I did end up choosing and taking, but this also just helped me know where my classes were, what time frame they'd be in, and how I could fit it all into a schedule that would work for me. Understand this method may not work for everybody, but that's just what worked for me. I'm a very type A person, so I need to be able to see it written out. Some colleges, and especially the university that I'm transferring into, have this option on the course registration website where they have an actual graph where you choose which classes you're supposed to be taking, and it will show you all the different options mixed together into different schedules for you during different times of the day that don't overlap over one another. You can even set times and breaks for like when you need to take a lunch or something like that. And it'll show you different arrangements of classes in your schedule that may work for you, and then you can choose when to register from there. Not all colleges or universities have this, though, which is why I'm offering you this option, which is what worked for me throughout college before this. My third thing on registration is financial aid. So I did not initially think I would be able to get financial aid, and it was definitely going to be a bit stressful, but I applied for the FAFSA just in case, and I managed to get it. I would say the thing that I've heard a lot of times with a bunch of different people that I've helped out with classes and stuff like that is they think, oh, I'm not going to be able to get any help or any financial aid with any of my classes because my parents earn too much or one parent earns too much or so on. Try it anyways. You'd be surprised what help you can get. That and other grants and scholarships, there's a bunch of different really good websites to look for that on. I'll link some of them right here so that you can see them. Additionally, there are things called work study agreements, which is where you go to college and you go into an agreement where you say, I will work this amount of hours at this place because they have job openings. They are highly competitive though. To work maybe in the bookstore, maybe in the gym, and you will get this agreement where you work a certain amount of hours and then you sometimes get some aid on your classes and sometimes they just pay you. But it's kind of an understanding where you're going to be able to get some work, which is awesome and can be kind of stressful if you're not getting as much help from your family as you'd hope for. And additionally, one thing which I'm doing this semester is a payment plan where you can separate if you owe, say, $2,000 each semester behind like all your FAFSA and everything like that, you can separate it out into 4 monthly payments so that you can get that spread out if you're not wanting to go into loans or anything like that, like I am. Now here's part 2 on finding an apartment or a place to stay.
Editing Maisie here, just to clarify that this is only going to be about off-campus housing because I have not had to deal with dormitories or anything to do with that, so I don't have much information about that. However, if you are curious, I can do some research and do a separate video for that.
So this part was honestly the most intimidating part for me. I am moving out of the house for the first time on my own. I'm sure you are too. I knew that I was going to need roommates or something like that because I could not afford $1,000 a month for a flat on my own. And some of the things that I used to start my search were Craigslist, Zillow, Facebook groups, all that sort of thing. And I ended up finding a bunch of really good student housing apartments. Things to look for when I was looking for a place were the distance from campus, the amount that I'm paying on rent, parking, whether you have in-unit laundry or you're going to be going to a coin laundry or something like that, and just the general vibes of the neighborhood that you're in. You do not want to be in an unsafe neighborhood. Other things to watch for are weird leases where you've got like other people connected into it, ones that are unclear, ones that look like they were written up unprofessionally, fake listings, which can happen too, loud neighborhoods like unsafe neighborhoods, poor lighting in the actual place, and so on. So in the end, I settled on these student apartments that were about 10 minutes from campus, and these are really nice because they have the specific agreement with the school to have these apartments. And so the main thing is there's this one like living room and shared living room and kitchen area and shared like laundry space. And then off of that, you each have your own room. Now I've got 4 other roommates, but you each have your own room and you each have your own lease on that room. And so it's a room, a bedroom, and a bathroom and a closet. And you each have your own lease on your own room and bathroom, which is very nice because then if you've ever had an apartment with anybody else, you know that if you're sharing an apartment with like 3 other people, all your names are on the lease, and then maybe not all your names are on the lease, and if somebody backs out, it messes up your whole lease and your whole agreement. You have to rewrite it and everything. With these, if somebody backs out of their agreement, it doesn't matter because you've got your own room in your own space, and the apartments will fill in somebody else after that. So that was really nice. Here's some tips for lease signing. I want you to read every single line. I know it seems like obvious or something that is silly to read all the fine print, but I read all the fine print and it helped me in a lot of ways that I'll share in a little bit. I want you to also ask about utilities. If you're asking about whether you're going to be paying a lot on electric, like what it's going to look like, sometimes the rent will look really low and then you find out that your utility bill is like $400 a month and you're like, oh, that makes sense. That's not a good thing. I don't want that. And you're glad you checked. Make sure you check what is included in your utilities, whether you're going to be paying an external source or whether you're going to be paying the apartment buildings that you live at. And 3, don't feel rushed. I want you to be looking into this long in advance before you're supposed to be leaving, before you're supposed to be moving out, because when you rush, that's when you make mistakes and that's when you get sucked into a situation where maybe you're not in the best place that you were hoping to be. Another thing is places that look cute, I learned, aren't always places that are livable. Take a tour. Go look at the apartments that you're wanting to go to. Go look at the area, check out the neighborhoods. I want you to understand what the vibe is so you can understand how you're going to feel living there, especially if you're going to be there for the next 4 years. Things I looked for, things I didn't even know until I toured a couple of duds, where I want you to understand the distance from school, what the natural light is there, the water pressure. I'm being serious. Check the water pressure. It's so nasty to have to take a shower and find out that it's just a light dribble the entire time. Where parking would be. The noise levels, visit it at night if you can even. The neighbors and the vibe, assess the neighborhood. Would you feel safe walking down the street there? And also lease details, like is it individual or is it joint or utilities included and all that sort of information. I actually have this sheet that I would write out, this checklist of all the things I wanted to check every single time I went and toured a place. And then I kind of gave each place a grade after that, based on that sheet, and could compare the sheets that I had from each tour, from each apartment building, from each dorm, whatever, and could understand where I felt safest living and where I wanted to live most, where would be the most enjoyable. It was my apartment because the apartment buildings, like the main leasing consultants, were very sweet, like front desk service is very nice, and it wasn't the cheapest, but it felt safe, and that mattered to me. Moving out is a big step. It's very scary, it's very new, but keep things organized, make sure you're as informed as possible, and it will be a breeze. It'll be a little scary at the start, but then once you've got it all figured out, you will be set. Don't worry. So on top of moving in and finding classes and all of that, there is how are you going to afford all of this? I myself am getting no help from my family, so I am working and saving to put myself through college. Thankfully, I have a good amount of financial aid that helps me get through it, but I am also working almost full-time as a student to be able to get through. This entire summer before I moved, I've been saving up to be able to put aside a chunk of money to put towards tuition, to put towards rent, to put towards everything, but it is not a lot. So we're working on finding a job. I want it to be part-time and also flexible to work around my classes and something that wouldn't burn me out in the free moments that I had aside from being in classes and being at home, so on. So yes, finding the right one was kind of a job in itself. So I started about thinking what kind of job I wanted. Was I looking for a campus job, a retail job, something I could walk to from my apartment or something I had to drive to? Did I want to be serving? And this is what helped me stay organized during that search. So for one, I made a little spreadsheet of the different places I applied, and I set a goal to apply to at least 2 or 3 places a day. For the past couple of weeks, and I started applying a couple of months ago too to different places, researching what I wanted to do. I wrote a solid resume and then a different version for whether I was doing customer service or something more analytical. I tailored that resume. There's a bunch of different versions in Google Docs that you can use to make a good, solid looking resume. I applied to a bunch of places, I follow up, I reach out. So, where to look for jobs? That is definitely a big part of the process. Here are some of my favorite places that I went to job hunt. Handshake, which is a website that your school might be using to help you find jobs that will work around your schedule. Craigslist, but not really that reliably, so I don't use that often. Indeed, most surely. Indeed and LinkedIn are the 2 big ones. And then also the Campus Bulletin Center or Job Center. Those can be very helpful for finding ones that are flexible and more tailored towards college students like yourself. And the third thing is, I went on Google Maps and I typed in different, like, I want to work at a restaurant, or so I searched restaurant, or I wanted to work at a library, so I searched library, and I looked at the different places, I found their website, I scrolled down and went to the careers, and I clicked that, and I applied there. Definitely make sure you're checking into the areas that you want to apply, the the business that you're wanting to work with. And also, when I was in town for a tour, when I was going for apartment tours, I would go and I would look around at different restaurants that are around the area. I'd walk in, I'd drop off a resume. Hey, my name's Maizie. I called earlier. I just wanted to, drop off a resume, get to know you guys. I'd love to help you guys out. I feel like could be a good addition here. Like that sort of thing. Quick little sentence, and then, hand off your resume. Have a great day. Bye. Especially if it's somewhere where like it's a serving job or a restaurant or something like that, make sure you know the hours, the busy hours, and go in when it's not busy. They're definitely going to appreciate that. When I started getting responses, I made sure to check my email consistently. I would always be checking. Some places would call me, so I would always pick up all the unknown numbers, and just sometimes they're wanting to schedule an interview and stuff like that. Always keep your outfit simple, like neat jeans and a nice top. You're not wanting to be flamboyant, so anything, just keep it really simple. And practice some answers when you're doing interview questions. When they asked about my availability, I always have my class schedule on hand so I can tell them, okay, these are the days where I'd be available. These are the times, the time frames. I am a student, but I would like to work as much as I can in the time around that. The last tip on interviews, research the company that you're going to work for or the business or anything, and know about what their core values are, what their mission is, and what they're looking for in an employee, because that helps you tailor your answers in this interview to something that they're going to like a lot more. Okay, my advice for working in college. When you get hired, protect your time. School comes first. You are wanting to get through school. You're not wanting to get through this job. Here are my tips for making it work. So firstly, be upfront about your school schedule from the start. Use a planner or an app to track your work life stuff, your class life stuff. Like, make sure you're being fair to yourself and giving yourself breaks. Don't take more shifts than you can handle, even if you feel bad saying no. I want you to be solid on being able to protect your own time when you need it, because being a student that also works is exhausting. Try to work near campus to save time on commuting and save gas too. And then also build a good relationship with your manager if you can. It makes your life a whole lot easier. I have not been able to do that yet because I cannot always make trips out to my university to be able to be going in for interviews and so on. So have a solid amount saved up for the first month or two of rent and tuition and books or anything like that. And know that you can take a little bit of a break and still be searching for a job in that time, but not be stressed out, being like, oh my God, rent's due in a week and I still don't have a job, okay? Save up a little bit, give yourself a little grace, but be strong on that job search game. Okay, now that's a wrap on this episode of Maizie in College. We've covered a lot about preparing for registration, planning your classes, talking to your advisors, finding a place to live, and even getting ready to land that first job in a new city. If you're in the middle of your own college move, remember, it's a lot to juggle, but it's completely doable when you take it step by step. I'm figuring it out as I go, just like you. And honestly, that's the fun part. This next episode, I'll be diving into a little bit of my move-in process, getting ready for the move and so on, and maybe even a little bit of my first week of college. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. I'll see you in the next one.